Finally, there is some good news for Denver renters after rent going up at a rate that many times exceeded even home prices. Rent fell in the fourth quarter of 2022, and by a lot. We're going to look at what this means and if it's likely to continue in this video. Real quick, if you've been around here before, you know I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Colorado. I would love to be your go-to real estate resource. Any needs you may have, I would love if you give me a call. I will put my information below. Okay, what we're looking at is an article from the Denver Post talking about how average apartment rents in Denver dropped at a rate not seen in decades at the end of 2022. That's when this happened. So where they get their data is a report from Apartment Insights. And you see they lead really strongly in this article. Average apartment rents in Metro Denver fell more than they did in the worst of the dot-com crisis, during the Great Recession, or even the early months of the pandemic. That's a ton. And they say they expect more declines as new units pour out into the market this year, 2023. So you see the average rent drop from $1,870 a month to $1,838. That's a decline of $32, which doesn't seem like much. 1.7% still seems like almost nothing out of context, but it's the largest quarterly drop going back 4 decades. So the author of the report notes that the apartment market, like the real estate market, is seasonal, but says even adjusted for seasonality, this drop was extreme. So basically, vacancy rates shot up 5.6% in the fourth quarter from 4.8% vacancy rate the prior quarter. And a big reason for this is supply. Obviously, apartment rent, like everything else, is supply and demand. And developers have been trying to keep up with this massive demand, both in terms of homes to buy and places to rent for a long time. In the rental market, there's just been a lack of supply, like there has been in the sale market as well. Well, it looks like the builders are finally catching up. They delivered almost 11,000 new apartments last year, of which only just under 7,000 were occupied. So that's called absorption rate, and that was at a 7-year low. And this is one of the reasons they think that this drop in rents may continue, because between 8,000 and 12,000 new units are expected this year. So it's going to keep coming. Really, this is just really good news for renters who have seen their rents continue to go up at a rate even more consistently than home prices in Denver. Obviously, in the second half of the year, if you've followed this channel at all, you know that home prices dropped by about 10-11% in the Denver metro. That after huge gains in the early half of the year and huge gains the prior year. The market shifted to be more in favor of buyers. Now it's kind of shifting again, but looking at 2022, there was a big shift, and that whole shift was due to interest rates, basically. Interest rates shot up. They were around 3%, then they were around 6-7%, and that obviously changed demand for home buyers. Well, the demand has been the same, basically, for renters because they're not affected by interest rates. That has nothing to do with it. But what happened was supply shot up so much based on this article that is giving some relief to renters. It's a really good thing overall for renters, and it's positive that it looks like this may continue. Denver's finally catching up its supply for all the people who need a place to live. The article notes too, near the end, it's still not caught up, so we still need more supply, but this is a good sign for the health of the rental market. You probably know what I'm going to say. So obviously, I'm a real estate agent. Here in Denver, we don't deal a whole lot in rentals, at least I don't. So I did want to touch on the whole rent versus buy thing. And I might not be saying what you think I'm going to say, because generally real estate agents always talk about it the same way. And to be honest, I kind of hate the way we talk about it, almost condescending to renters. It's the whole thing of stop paying someone else's mortgage, you're throwing money down the drain, which kind of is true, but the tone comes off in a way like we haven't been renters in the past, which all of us probably have, or the vast majority of us. And it also comes off like there isn't a good reason to ever be a renter, which is not true. Home ownership has become less and less affordable over the last 3 years. So for a lot of people, it's, they're saying, yeah, I would love to stop paying somebody else's mortgage, but it's really tough. It's hard to save the money for a down payment, and it's hard to get into the type of home you want for a reasonable amount of money. So I think especially in the short term, if you don't know if you're going to be somewhere for a long time, or if you kind of want to get your feet wet, say you're new to town and want to check it out, renting is actually a pretty good option, and it's encouraging to see the rents stabilizing a little bit. Of course, my goal would be to help you get into home ownership over the long term. And why? It's just because it's the number one way to build wealth in America. Something like 90% of multimillionaires built that wealth through real estate. The wealth gap between homeowners and non-homeowners is just enormous. So when the time comes for that conversation, I would love to be your guy. There are a number of ways I will put below to get in touch with me to have that conversation if and when you're ready. But for now, if you're a renter, it's good to know that things might be getting just a little bit easier. If you need anything, I'm around. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Love you.